Plastic. It's everywhere. On our beaches, in our oceans, in our water.
Hi, I'm Griffin Johnson, the armchair historian. When the more details you add, the deeper one might Joachim von Ribbentrop, the German Reich's foreign minister, met with his Italian counterpart, Galeazzo Ciano, in Florence to iron out a formal military alliance between the two dictatorships. The resulting Pact of Steel cemented itself as the first offensive alliance between these two nations against the democracies of Europe. Relations improved with the Tripartite Pact, signed in Berlin on the 27th of September 1940, again between Ribbentrop, Ciano, and their Japanese contemporary, Saburo Kurusu. For much of the war, Hitler and Mussolini would cooperate far more than the other Axis powers, but Hitler kept his junior partner in the dark about much of his military planning, leading to Italian missteps like the half-baked invasion of Greece in an attempt to match Hitler's spontaneous conquests. Italy was not content to sit on the sidelines of the action, and for much of the conflict, the Italian Navy was a key concern for Allied operations in the Mediterranean Sea. And the presence of Italian troops through the African theaters ensured that Allied resources and manpower were consistently diverted to contain the threat of Axis expansion, which threatened French and British territory all across Africa and the Middle East. Mussolini's colonial adventures succeeded in drawing British Commonwealth Act, signed a core the resolute Austrians, meant that Spain would never remain fully committed. 1939, alongside Germany, Japan, Italy, had always treated the future Axis powers Spain was an interesting conundrum, despite Germany and spirit and resources to thrive in such a position. These military adventures were only possible for Japan due to a non-aggression pact with the Soviets, who, despite representing the communism that Japan hated so intensely, were not a focus of military attention until Stalin's opportunistic invasion of Manchuria just after the bombing of Hiroshima. Japan, surrounded on all sides, was the last of the Axis powers to surrender to the Allies at the end of the war. Spain was an interesting conundrum. Despite Germany and Italy's support for the nationalists in the Spanish Civil War, Francisco Franco had always treated the future Axis powers with a somewhat cautious approach. Franco joined the Anti-Comintern Pact on the 27th of March 1939, alongside Germany, Japan, Italy, Hungary, and Manchukuo. Yet while the Nazis and Spanish nationalists saw this as a preliminary step towards a true military alliance, Franco was keen to set limits on the Hispano-German relationship. Franco had the nation's reconstruction to consider, which could only happen with the economic cooperation of the resource-rich Britain, France, and United States. Germany's attempts to court allies were not confined to Europe. As early as 1938, Germany sought to curry favor with the British-aligned Kingdom of Iraq, and like all good Western powers interested in a Middle Eastern country, the Germans were in it for the oil. A radio propaganda campaign was launched over Radio Zessen, with Iraqi announcer Yunus Bahri filling the airwaves with Anglophobic Arabic. By 1940, Nazi Germany and Iraq had developed warm relations, but the Iraqis pushed for explicit support from the Axis for Iraqi independence, which they received in October of that year. The Nazis capitalized on this by arming the Iraqis, hoping to use an Iraqi insurrection as a distraction to even the odds in the North African theater. The result was the 1941 Anglo-Iraq War.
Mufti Amin al-Husseini was a Palestinian Arab nationalist and Muslim leader in Mandatory Palestine. He founded an anti-Jewish organization which culminated in the 1920 riots. For this, he was later pardoned and returned to stir things up again. He became the self-styled leader of anti-Semitism in the Arab world and inspired Muslims to attack Jews. In the 1930s, he sent praising telegrams to Adolf Hitler. He evaded capture by moving to Iraq and later to Iran. He later made his way to Germany, where he arrived at the end of 1941. In November, he met with Hitler. He was given a large villa in Berlin and was paid a lot. He also met Himmler and had contacts with Adolf Eichmann as well. He shared their virulent anti-Semitism. In the first half of 1943, he helped recruiting Bosnian volunteers for the SS Handschar. After the war, he got asylum in Egypt and passed away in Lebanon in 1974. Grand Mufti